everybody. So next up, we're going to be talking about the metric system units of length. And then next week, we're going to talk the difference between customary and metric weight and customary and metric volume. So we'll find all that out next week, but today we're going to review metric units of length. So that is millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers. So, as a reference here, and I'm going to also include a reference in your homework today, we want to review that 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. The nice thing about the metric system is it's all based off of groups of 10. So we've got 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer, which is a multiple of 10. Same with 100. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters, and 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters. So kind of like in the style of the customary system, where you start with the inch is the smallest, and then a foot, and then a yard, and then a mile. Same with this system, where we start with a millimeter, it's a little smaller than an inch, and then, or it's much smaller than an inch, and then a centimeter, which is still smaller than an inch, and then a meter, and then a kilometer. So, let's talk about conversion. So just as a reminder, same as with customary, when you're going from a big unit to a small unit, you're going to multiply, and when you go from a small unit to a bigger unit, you're going to divide. So I've left this up here as a reference. So let's start with the first problem here. 4 kilometers is equal to how many meters? Well, let's look up at our key here. If 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters, then 4 kilometers would be equal to 4 times 1,000, right? Because if we have one group of 1,000 equals 1 kilometer, then 4 groups of 1,000 will equal however many meters we have here, which would be 4,000 meters. 4,000 meters. Okay? So we're going from big to small, so we multiplied. Next we have 7 meters. We are converting to centimeters. So again, we're going from big to small, because if we have 1 meter has 100 centimeters in it, right? So if 1 meter has 100 centimeters, then 7 meters would have 7 groups of 100. So it would have 700 centimeters if we use our zero trick. Okay, I'll draw a little line to separate these out. So now let's look at the next one. 20 centimeters is equal to how many millimeters? Let's look back at our key here. We've got 20 centimeters is equal to how many millimeters? Well, we know 1 centimeter has 10 millimeters in it, so we're going from big to small. Again, we're going from big to small. Okay, so I can take my 20 centimeters and multiply that by 10 millimeters. Okay, because we have 20 groups of 10, which means we have 2 times 1 is 2, add our 2 zeros, we have 200 millimeters are in 20 centimeters. Okay, the last problem I have here is how many meters, if I have 1 meter, how many millimeters do I have? This is still going from big to small. So we are still going to multiply from big to small. But in this case, I don't have an exact number of how many millimeters fit in 1 meter. I do know there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter, so this might be a 2-step problem, right? So if 1 meter, which is how many I have, if 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters, and then there are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter, then I can multiply my 100 centimeters by 10 because I have 100 groups of 10, right? 100 of those millimeters, or 10 of those millimeters fit in every centimeter. And then I have 100 centimeters that fit in that meter. So that would make sense that there's going to be a bigger number of millimeters in just 1 meter. So now I have a lot of zeros and I have ones. So 1 times 1 is 1, and now I'll add up my zeros. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So there are 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. For my last 2 problems, I'm going to demonstrate what you do when you have a smaller unit, like centimeters, and you're trying to convert it to a bigger unit, to a meter. So let's look back at our key. In 1 meter, there are 100 centimeters. So if I have 300 centimeters, then I want to figure out, well, how many meters fit into 300, right? So I've got 300 centimeters divided by 100 that fit into 1 would tell me how many meters I can make from my 300 centimeters. So my 300 divided by 100 will tell me how many I have in all, which would just be 3, right? 3 groups of 100 fit into 300, so 3 meters. So whenever you're going smaller unit to bigger unit, it actually makes sense that the number is going to be smaller, right? Just like with feet and inches, there are 12 inches that make 1 foot. There are 100 centimeters that make 1 meter. So lastly, let's look at this last one. 50 millimeters is equal to how many centimeters? So let's review. There are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. So if there's 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter, and we want to find out how many centimeters make up 50 millimeters, we can divide our 50 divided by the 10 to figure out how many centimeters, which would be 5. 50 divided by 10 would be 5, right? And even if we counted groups of 10, we would add up 5 groups of 10 would make 50, right? So this could also be a multiplication problem, right? Because it's 10 times what gets you to the 50 millimeters. 10 times 5 gets you to the 50 millimeters. So either way, we found our answers. So I hope you do well today following these guidelines. I'm going to have a little cheat sheet for you, so while you are doing your problems, you can refer back to it. Have a great Friday, everybody.